An episode of Trek Cannon. So it takes me a little bit of a while to get to work, right? And so I have these thoughts that pass through my head. One of the thoughts that passed through my head was basically in debate. I ain't gonna call it an argument, but a debate that goes way back, like decades, all the way back to the 70s. And that debate, that heated argument, that most vicious and most felt of conversations throughout any sci-fi convention, any sci-fi grouping has always been, which is better, Star Trek or Star Wars? Now, for everybody who knows me and follows my channel, you all know that I've always had a very simple answer to that particular question. As a Trekkie, well, beyond Trekkie, I say as a Canaanite, I have always felt that there's only one answer I could legally give without being blasphemous, all right? But I want to let you guys in on what may not be a secret, but something that is definitely not said aloud, and that is this. When you compare the two, they're very much the same. They're not different at all right? Their executions may be, but the goal, the destination of the road, right, is the same. And let's talk about that real quick. Why do we love Star Trek and Star Wars? Why has Star Trek and Star Wars been two of the most impactful sci-fi series or sci-fi impacts or impacts to the sci-fi genre that has ever been made, outpacing even things like Doctor Who and Battlestar Galactica, right? And let me tell you what I believe that is, why it is for me. And in conversations with other Canonites, and believe it or not, other Star Wars Canonites, we've all pretty much agreed upon the same few points, and that's these. The thing about Star Wars, why I love Star Wars, right, is because of its optimism, its ability to present problems in such a way to whereas they put a spotlight and mirror on our culture, our society, our norms, our beliefs, okay? And in a lot of ways forces us to challenge them. But in doing so, it not only just points those out, but it tries to give solutions and directions presented in optimism based on our values and what we try to hold dear as humans, all right? What about Star Wars, okay? In Star Wars, their whole goal has been to overcome the elements of the dark side, the suppressive and oppressive nature of our not only our own individual dark side, but of the dark side of a government, what the government and what the nations could become to its people. All right. Think of what the rebels represent at their heart. The rebels represent a group of all different kinds of aliens, all coming together to contribute to freedom, to diversity of thought and of being, to be able to basically come and go as you please without restriction, right? Without negative impact, without having to fear for your life. So in Star Trek, we have very similar elements. In the early on episodes, it was the Romulans, it was the Klingons, it was these oppressive nations that the Federation's values had to contend with. And what were those values, right? The good of the many and the good of the one. In essence, freedom, okay? Now, the thing is that each one of these series also has another thing that's very important and common, which makes both of these series great. In Star Wars, you have many heroes. Solo, Skywalker, Leia, Boba Fett, in his own way, the Mandalorian. In canon, you have so many people who contributed to the success of, this diversity of people in the rebellion. It's the same way in Star Trek. You have the Vulcans, the Tellarites, the Andorians, eventually the Klingons even came into the fray. Just like Vader came into the fray of the light side. All right. Both series has always been how, acknowledging and looking at the darkness in us, the darkness around us, the darkness in our society, and fighting to overcome it, no matter the odds, through the use of family, teamwork, optimism. Yes, there's going to be a lot of hurdles where we get set back. The Borg is going to attack and wipe out 11,000 people at Wolf 359. The Empire is going to strike back. It's going to seem like there's no hope. The Dominion War is going to, cause so much death and destruction. But through it all, in both series, the light always prevailed. And no matter whether you are a Trekkie or you are a Star Wars person, true canonites of both series will acknowledge that they are both great, that they both speaks to the optimism of the human condition through any adversity, acknowledging those adversities, shining a light on those adversities, recognizing the negativity in those adversities, knowing that we can overcome any adversity through teamwork, family, diversity of thought, diversity of species, okay? That all of us can get along, that all of us have the same goals, that we all just want freedom, all right? So, let me know what you guys think. But I'm going to tell you what, as a Canaanite, as a lifelong Canaanite, and yes, a lover of Star Wars as well, I will always give the same answer though. Which one do I think is better? Star Trek or Star Wars? Despite everything I've said in this video, I have to hold true to the tradition. What's Star Wars? You guys be cool.